This time, on the bench, is an Eterna from the 1960s in a pity shape. At least, the watch is ticking, but the glass is cracked and will be replaced by a fresh new one later. Let's open up the case. I use a sticky ball opener, since this is a screwed case which isn't too tight. The caliber in this watch is an Eterna 1426. It is a derivative of the 1411. This movement has 17 joules, about 48 hours of power reserve, a quick set date by pulling the crown, and looks really nice. The automatic module is one of the most interesting elements of this watch. As you can see, the rotor is mounted on ball bearings. This is one of the several solutions to the automatic assembly mechanism. This may seem familiar because it is commonly found in standard ETA calibers, and there's a good reason for that. Eterna is a renowned Swiss watch brand established in 1856 in Grenchen, Switzerland. One of its most notable achievements is the development of the ball bearing mounted rotor in automatic watches, introduced in 1948. This innovation enhanced the efficiency and reliability of automatic winding systems and became a hallmark of modern automatic movements. Like always, let's remove the balance spring as early as possible. Out of all parts, this isn't the one to damage. Let's take a closer look at the balance spring. Everything here looks good. Eterna's influence extends beyond its own brand. In 1932, it founded ETA, a subsidiary dedicated to producing watch movements. ETA quickly grew into one of the world's largest and most influential movement manufacturers, supplying calibers to numerous watch brands, both within and outside the Swatch Group, which later acquired ETA. The glass is really damaged. We can see the tiny Eterna logo stamped in the center. Unfortunately, no polishing will save this crystal. Eterna and ETA share a deep historical connection, with Eterna often serving as the testing ground for ETA's innovations. Over time, ETA became more independent, while Eterna focused on crafting high-quality watches. Today, Eterna remains a symbol of Swiss watchmaking, even though it has fallen out of flavor in recent decades. ETA continues to be a cornerstone of the global watch industry, thanks in part to its Eterna roots. This particular 1426 movement is a UD version, meaning that it has upgraded features like this hour wheel with an integrated spring. The other upgrades are a 3-spoke ring balance and a new hairspring stud. We'll continue by unwinding the mainspring to release any remaining energy in the movement. After that, I'll use the Presto tool, my preferred choice, to remove the cannon pinion. Using a reference table, we can estimate the production year based on the serial number. This specific movement has a serial number in the 4.6 million range, placing its manufacture date between 1961 and 1963. This watch is almost 65 years old and is still in pretty good shape. Vintage watches often suffer wear around the mainspring barrel hole, causing excess play and affecting the amplitude. Under magnification, the barrel arbor shows quite some play. This will be fixed later with a staking set. Eterna and ETA have been at the forefront of Swiss watchmaking innovation for over a century, with each contributing significantly to the development of timekeeping technology. As said earlier, one of Eterna's most groundbreaking achievements came in 1948 with the invention of the ball-bearing mounted rotor for automatic movements. This revolutionary system reduced friction in automatic movements, making them more efficient and durable. This innovation, introduced in the iconic Eterna line, became a global standard for self-winding watches. To this day, Eterna's 5-ball-bearing logo is a tribute to this achievement. Eterna's innovative streak didn't stop there. In the 1930s, they developed some of the thinnest mechanical movements of their time, catering to the growing demand for sleek, elegant watches. Later, in 1958, Eterna introduced the legendary KonTiki line. The Eterna KonTiki line is named after the famous KonTiki expedition led by a Norwegian explorer in 1947. This journey was about a crew sailing a wooden raft, the KonTiki, across the Pacific Ocean from Peru to Polynesia, to prove that ancient civilizations could have made similar voyages. The connection to Eterna stems from the fact that the crew relied on Eterna watches during the expedition. These watches needed to withstand the harsh conditions of the open sea, including salt water, extreme temperatures, and continuous exposure to the elements. The Eterna timepieces perform flawlessly, showcasing their reliability and durability. Now, let's shift to ETA, founded as a subsidiary of Eterna in 1932 to specialize in watch movement production. Over the decades, ETA became a cornerstone of the Swiss watch industry, delivering reliable and versatile calibers to countless brands. One of ETA's most celebrated achievements is the ETA 2824-2, introduced in 1971. This robust automatic movement became the workhorse of the industry, known for its precision and reliability. Another gem is the ETA 2892-A2, an ultra-thin movement that has served as the foundation for many high-end complications. ETA also played a pivotal role in chronograph development, refining movements like the Valjoux 7750, a powerhouse automatic chronograph caliber used in watches from mid-range to luxury brands. In the 1970s and 1980s, during the quartz crisis, ETA helped lead Switzerland's response with its expertise in miniaturizing quartz movements, contributing to the rise of the Swatch Group. More recently, ETA was instrumental in developing the System 51, an innovative mechanical movement made entirely by automated assembly. ETA's influence in the watchmaking world is monumental, with its movements powering some of the most iconic watches across a range of brands. Many prestigious watchmakers have relied on ETA's reliable and versatile calibers as the foundation for their timepieces, often customizing them to meet their specific design and performance standards. These adaptations have led to a fusion of mass-produced precision and unique craftsmanship, resulting in highly regarded movements. Let's open up the mainspring barrel. This will definitely need some cleaning. This is the first time happening to me. The mainspring broke in half when I was taking it out of the barrel. I never reuse mainsprings anyway, but this definitely shows that it was weak and due for replacement. Finally, it's time to disassemble the automatic module. The rotor winds the mainspring bidirectionally through a series of gears. These are the reversing wheels, allowing the winding of the mainspring in both directions. Everything has been taken apart. Now time for cleaning. Let's install a new mainspring. Before that, a thin layer of this thick, dark grease is applied to the inner wall of the barrel. Its high viscosity makes it ideal for this purpose. The braking grease creates a controlled amount of friction against the mainspring, ensuring a more uniform release of energy. The grease helps maintain consistent torque to the gear train, which is essential for accurate timekeeping. It also reduces the noise and wear caused by this slipping action, prolonging the life of the mainspring and barrel. With the barrel prepped, a brand new mainspring is fitted inside. Slowly but surely the new mainspring gets in there. Next up is the oiling of the two cap jewels for the balance wheel. A low viscosity oil is applied. Once that's done, the end stone is reassembled and carefully placed back into its block. The same process is repeated on the other side of the balance staff. Let's address the play issue of the barrel arbor. For this, I am going to use a staking tool with two rounded punches. I am tapping the punch with a small hammer while turning the bridge to give it an even form. Here's a side view animation showing the process. The bridge, highlighted in yellow, is positioned between the two red punches. The matter of the bridge is slowly pushed in using a punch, creating a smaller hole. Then comes the smoothing broach. This will flatten the ends. This is why the hole was made smaller earlier on. The results are clear. Initially, the barrel had quite a bit of play, but now the play has been eliminated entirely, and the barrel moves freely as intended. Let's get back to the reassembly by getting the train of gears on the main plate. This can be a fiddly task since all the tiny pinions must be placed properly in their jewels. Now let's give some examples of watch brands which have used ETA-based movements. One notable example is Breitling, which has extensively used the Valjoux 7750, an ETA chronograph movement. After refinements and modifications, Breitling rebrands it as the Caliber 13, featured in their renowned Navitimer and Chronomat collections. Tudor relied on ETA movements like the ETA 2824-2 before transitioning to in-house calibers. Iconic models such as the Black Bay and Pelagos initially utilized ETA calibers, known for their robustness and ease of service. IWC also has a rich history with ETA movements. For example, the brand adapted the Valjoux 7750, which powers the pilot's chronograph. IWC performs extensive modifications, including improved finishing and tighter tolerances. The Valjoux 7750 also served as the foundation for one of IWC's most iconic timepieces, the Doppel chronograph, which was the first affordable split-seconds chronograph. Even Panerai has used ETA's Unitas 6497 manual wind movement featured in models like the Radiomir and Luminor base. Hamilton, Longines, and Tissot, also part of the Swatch group, rely on modified ETA movements for their collections. These examples highlight ETA's critical role in the watch industry. The company's movements provide a reliable and adaptable foundation, allowing brands to focus on aesthetics and finishing while maintaining the performance and durability that consumers expect. In modern times, ETA has become synonymous with the Swiss watch industry, providing movements to both luxury and entry-level brands across the globe. However, a significant shift occurred in recent years as ETA gradually stopped supplying ébauche movements, unfinished movement kits, to external manufacturers. This decision stems from a complex history tied to the Swatch Group, ETA's parent company, and its dominance in the watch movement market. The turning point came in 2002 when the Swiss Competition Commission investigated the Swatch Group for potentially abusing its dominant position by threatening to cut off ébauche supplies to third-party brands. ETA had been the primary supplier of movements for numerous watchmakers, creating a reliance that gave Swatch Group substantial market control. To promote competition and encourage other companies to develop their own movements, the Swiss Competition Commission and the Swatch Group reached an agreement in 2013. Under this agreement, ETA began reducing its supply of movements to brands outside the Swatch Group. Now is the moment of truth. It's time to transplant the heart back into the body of the watch, meaning the balance wheel back on the movement. It's now ticking back to life. Let's check the numbers now. The beat error and rate need some adjustment. Let's start with the beat error, which is the difference in duration between the clockwise and counterclockwise swings of the balance wheel. In this case, it must be done directly on the collet of the balance wheel. By slightly rotating the collet, we can fine-tune the position of the balance spring. I typically regulate movements in 4 positions: dial up, dial down, crown up, and crown down. After some back and forth, the numbers are looking much better. Here are the results after some tweaking. It's looking pretty good. The delta is the difference between the 2 farthest mean rate measures. It is here 12.75 and it should always be under 15. We are good on that front. The rest is also decent. In the wake of ETA's withdrawal, the industry saw a surge of activity among alternative movement manufacturers. Sellita, which had long assembled ETA movements under license, quickly rose to prominence. When ETA ceased supplying ébauche kits, Sellita began producing its own versions of popular ETA movements, such as the SW200, modeled after the ETA 2824-2, and the SW500, based on the Valjoux 7750. Another key player to emerge was Soprod, which introduced its A10 movement as a high-quality alternative to the ETA 2892. Soprod also specialized in producing customized movements, catering to brands seeking unique features or complications. Here's the quick set date feature. If you're familiar with the 500 series from Omega, this is the same method. Beyond Swiss manufacturers, Japanese companies like Miyota and Seiko have gained traction, especially with independent brands and micro-brands. This transition also spurred many watch brands to invest in in-house movement development. Companies like Tudor, Breitling, and Oris have made significant strides in creating proprietary calibers. For instance, Tudor introduced its MT series movements, while Breitling developed its B01 chronograph caliber. The second hands needed the most cleaning. It had a bizarre substance all over it. The second hand is back on the watch. I make sure that the hands have enough spacing vertically. Final stretch now. The dial is back on the movement as well as the hands. We can almost see the end of today's work. A brand new glass is going to be fitted on the watch. I use this crystal press that bends the glass evenly so that I can fit the bezel onto it from under. I then release the pressure to allow the crystal to take its shape back and sit properly around the bezel lip. The newly fitted glass and the case are now going to be reunited with the rest of the watch. Let's install the clamps that secure the movement onto the case. The rotor is the last part of the movement to be fitted. The work is now completed. It has been a pleasure working on this watch. It is now looking very nice. Thank you for sticking with me through this session. I'll see you in the next one.